In today's episode, the Vauxhall Carlton. Hello and welcome to Quarterlight, your car brochure channel, a channel that looks at car brochures from around the world, from the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, and sometimes beyond those years as well. So if you enjoy looking at car brochures, looking at cars gone by, really all about those memories, then please do consider subscribing. It is all completely free. Now at the start of the show, of course, we said, what are we looking at? The Vauxhall Carlton. So we've been looking at a whole series of Vauxhalls in this all-range car brochure. We're up to Carlton. Last week we looked at Manta, of course. Now a quick word about the Manta. The quality of that video wasn't the best. We have just moved. We didn't really set up the lighting very well. We had to be in another room that had an awful lot of light coming in, so it was challenging. So thank you for sticking around, those that have done. Now we've kind of like moved into the room which will be the permanent location for Quarterlight. Then we've got a bit more ability to adjust the light in that. So hopefully this video will be the start of that improvement. Anyway, let's turn to today's brochure. So here is today's brochure. So it is an all-range brochure, so Vauxhall Opel range, June to September 1985. Caption at the time, better by design. Rather nicely and fitting for this episode, the main image is the Vauxhall Carlton in CD guise. Now of course the problem with the Vauxhall Carlton really was it was competing against the Ford Granada in some ways, although there was a higher model than the Carlton. It was always a very limited range, but I always liked the CD version, of course. The range topper, I think that was always my favourite of the Carltons, and really suited the car overall. Now, like I say, on this particular all-range brochure, it's kind of like featuring this as, well, whenever I see it on the front cover, I think it's like the star car. So why are they promoting this? Well, if I just turn to the next page, we get this little bit of a random page in some ways, headed better by design at the top, which I don't think you'll be able to see. It's in very light coloured writing. So I was talking about ABS for the Carlton, option for all Carltons now, it tells you. And it's also telling you, there's been a big improvement and a huge improvement in sales for the Carlton as well. So down here it's telling you this approach, which is kind of like improvements for the Carlton in luxury, etc. This approach offered by the Vauxhall Carlton, a widely appreciated fact reflected by it being number one in its group in 1984, with sales which have increased by a staggering 490% since 1981. Now obviously we can't really verify those numbers, but what a huge increase. Of course the Carlton, certainly the earlier Carltons were even more limited range, and I think that was always the big problem, like I said. But obviously at this time things were improving with the Carlton name, of course. And then it gives you some ideas of what you're actually getting on the Carlton. So it says, for instance, in every Carlton saloon you can take for granted such niceties as a height adjustable driver's seat, power assisted steering, radio stereo cassette player with 4 speakers, tinted glass all round, and electric boot release, to name but a few. As regards to Carlton CD, the range topper, it lacks for nothing in comfort and convenience, with sliding steel sunroof, electrically operated windows, rear seat belts, stereo radio cassette, electric aerial, long range driving lights, and on the style front, alloy wheels. On top of that, it has performance status 2, 118 miles per hour from the 2200 fuel injected engine. So we can see the Carlton as a whole, even at this stage, is becoming more of an all-rounded car, and maybe becoming a little bit more competitive with the Granadas, particularly when you look at like the lower spec Carltons, when you compare with the bog standard Granadas. It wasn't badly equipped actually. Anyway, let's turn to the correct page and let's look at the Carlton in a bit more detail. So we turn to the page proper. The caption is Carlton expressively executive. It's showing again a Carlton CD, although it is a nice big image. It's falling on the crease, and of course we get a little bit of a warped image, so we're not going to hover too long on this first page, but it is nice to see it promoted in this way in silver. Now of course, one thing about the Carlton, when we said it's competing against the Granada, Vauxhall did have a bit of an advantage in that there is a model up, of course, the Senators and the Monzas, but I always think when you look at Senators and Monzas, you would have had to be doing extremely well to even be in the showroom looking at those cars, because they were very pricey items. That's why I always think more the Carlton was more directly in line with most of the Granada range, apart from the top spec models of course. But anyway, let's turn the page. Let's see the first model in the lineup, and as we know in this brochure, if you've been watching this series, we start with the top model first, so indeed we will be starting with my favourite, the CD, and then we'll move down the range to the models you probably actually would have bought, and then of course we look at the estates. Sadly no CD version of the estate, which I always thought was a miss, but anyway, let's start the range. So here it is then, the Carlton CD with the one engine choice, a 2200 injection, and one model only, a 4-door saloon. So it was a little bit limited in that way, but still, this was always the model I admired if I ever saw one. Alloy wheels, of course, I quite like the alloy wheels. They're a little bit unusual, aren't they? Perhaps we'll glance over them in a bit more detail later. Unusual colour, but I do remember seeing quite a few of them in this unusual sort of orangey red colour. I just can't think of the name. If you do remember the name of that model, please do jot it in the notes. Oh, hold on a minute, it's going to tell us. Well, it does tell us actually, so think about that and I will actually tell you what the paint colour is. Of course it would have been an optional extra metallic 2-coat paint, so pay a bit more extra for that, but it was a very popular option. Very sort of early 80s to mid 80s colour, that one. And like I said, I will tell you the colour in a moment, but we'll start here. We'll look at the text and we'll come back to these lovely images. So it begins by telling us the CD badge denotes the Carlton's top status. The sleek, beautifully proportioned lines are enhanced by aerodynamic sill extensions, and the CD has a 2200 fuel-injected engine that puts this executive-style saloon into the 118 miles per hour class. In addition to higher performance, other advantages include greater flexibility, lower noise levels, and exhaust emissions that even comply with future regulations apparently, to extend the already excellent miles per gallon. The powerful 2200 injection engine incorporates an advanced electronic fuel injection system with a fuel cutoff on a trailing throttle. This stops the flow of fuel when the throttle is released at engine speeds above 1200 RPM. Particularly economical in stop-start traffic conditions. Full refinements. All the comfort and refinements associated with the Carlton range are here, starting with a height adjustable driver's seat, complemented by the leather covering steering wheel that also adjusts for tilt angle, and the steering itself is power assisted. All windows are electrically operated, so too is the aerial of the high quality AC 741 stereo radio cassette player with 4 speakers. Luxurious Turin velour cloth extends to the front and rear head restraints and a door panel. I should say. The huge 17.3 cubic foot boot is also fully carpeted. There's rear compartment heating and 3 rear seat belts are also standard. Bronze tinted glass minimises glare. The practicalities of long distance driving haven't been overlooked either. At night, special pencil beams incorporated in the halogen headlamps give extra long range penetration when main beam is selected. A manual rear suspension leveling system is also standard. A 7-function trip computer is available as an extra cost option. ABS, the electronically controlled anti-lock brake system, can also be specified for the CD at extra cost. And then it gives us a list of those standard features. So Turin velour cloth trim, height adjustable driver's seat, tiltable leather covered steering wheel, full sports instrumentation, stereo radio stereo cassette player, electric aerial, electric windows, front and rear head restraints, rear seat belts, power steering, 5-speed overdrive gearbox, sliding tiltable steel sunroof, manual rear suspension, leveling system, halogen headlamps with integral long-range pencil beams, alloy road wheels with low-profile tyres, 4-door central locking, electrically operated and heated door mirrors, bronze tinted glass, laminated windscreen with graduated tilt shade band, headlamp wash wipe, and a remote electric boot release. So I think for the time, 1985, that was a very nicely spec'd car, and certainly a nice car to have owned at the time. So it starts off with a tiny little image of the rear seats, showing that we just about make out that we've got head restraints in the lovely velour seats. Actually, they do look very nice. Bit of an armrest, rear seat belts, of course, very nice door cards, and you can just about make out that electric rear window switch. That's joined by another tiny little image from the rear. I always liked the styling of the Carlton, I must admit. It was a good looking car. A look on the inside of this very well equipped particular model. A lot of equipment, nice stereo, rev counters of course. This looks like an automatic version. But overall a little bit plasticky and quite boxy, isn't it? It's a little bit American in that way, of course. Moving on, we get another slightly larger image, this time showing both the front and rear seats, and of course I do like those seats. Velour was always my favourite seat choice, I must admit. And there it is in all its glory. Again, they decided to just put it on the crease, unfortunately, but still you can really note that it is a good looking car. I do particularly like these alloy wheels. They are very interesting. Not sure exactly how they work. Does this middle section come out to get to the wheel nuts? I'm not 100% sure, you tell me. CD badge above these rubbing strips, big rubbing strips as well. And like I said before, I do like the colour. I would have liked this exact colour in this exact car in this colour actually. I think it really does suit it. It's of course carnelian red for those playing along with the game. Anyway, let's move down the range. So moving down the range for the Carlton means stepping into a Carlton GL. It also means you're going to be dropping the size of the engine as well, and unusually actually there is more choice now for you. So you could of course have the 4-door saloon, which we can see here, available as an 1800 or a 2 litre. But we can also have a 5-door estate now, sort of like the top of the range Carlton estate, again as an 1800 or 2 litre. I think it shows the estates at the end here, so we'll come to the estates later on, but let's read the text first. So it starts by telling us refined luxury and performance is expressed in every aspect of the Carlton GL. That now very well liked executive model, apparently, from Company Car Magazine. I don't remember Company Car Magazine, but there you go. Obviously they liked it. As your company car, I think if you were getting a Carlton GL, you were still doing pretty well actually. You were certainly at management level, I would suggest. There's the 1800 engine for performance and super economy. Worth thinking about if yours is a business car and you want to retain your big car motoring style at an advantageous tax benefit level. Of course, when we're looking at company cars, there are different things you might be thinking of, particularly tax levels and engine sizes may be something you might consider, and of course the GL, in which case may have been the highest model you could have gone up to. It then goes on to tell us, or you'll want to put the 2000 engine through its paces. If you place a priority on big power and still be pleased by your MPG figures. Both engines are coupled to an economy orientated 5-speed gearbox. The Carlton 1800 GL Saloon, for example, has a top speed of 107.5 miles per hour, yet still capable of returning a credible 47.9 mpg at a steady 56 miles per hour on government fuel figures. And the 2000 engine Saloon, with its 102.5 miles per hour performance, isn't far behind on economy, with its 45.5 mpg at a constant 56 miles per hour. As an extra cost option, the advanced ABS electrically controlled anti-lock brake system can be specified. Viking cloth trim and a Philips AC441 mono radio stereo cassette player with digital frequency display plus a host of detailed refinements help to confirm the Carlton GL's luxury status. So it then takes us to the standard features for the GL. So we get a height adjustable driver's seat, tiltable 4-spoke steering wheel, full sports instrumentation, headlamps on warning buzzer, AC441 mono radio stereo cassette player with 4 speakers, rear passenger compartment heating, 50-50 split rear seat on the estate, power steering, 5-speed overdrive gearbox, 4-door central locking, bronze tinted glass all round, laminated windscreen with graduated tint shade band, electrically operated and heated door mirrors, headlamp wash wipe, electric boot release for the saloon, tailgate wash wipe for the estate, manual rear suspension levelling system, estate, and retractable load compartment cover for the estate. So really, the GL really for its time was all you really needed. It's got everything you need on there for a much lower price than your CD, if you weren't too worried about losing that 2200 engine and of course those rather nice alloy wheels. CD was still my favourite though. So we start with a tiny little image from the rear of the GL. Colour this time polar white, unusual colour to choose actually, but as long as you get a higher spec model, white always looks quite nice. I think it's just when you get it on the very base model, it really does look base when you do it in white. Moving on. So obviously a step down from the CD model, but still nicely equipped. In white though, it is a very dark interior, isn't it? Moving on the inside, noticeable lack of rear head restraints now, and of course our rather lovely velour seats are gone. In replacement we have now got cloth. And there she is, the Carlton GL in polar white. Bit of a side stripe going all the way down. We've got wheel trims on there now, of course. I do like the head restraints actually on the Carltons, but we certainly can see again that the rears have been taken away from us, but certainly still a very nicely spec car for its time. If you are, for example, weren't that high up the chain in the company ladder, or you couldn't afford the GL, we do have another model for you. So moving to your base model Carlton at the time was the Carlton L. Although again, I think if you was offered any Carlton as a company vehicle, I think you would have been doing quite well. Vauxhall also always had a way of giving you the most on the L model in terms of the most choice. So now again we can have a saloon or an estate, but now we've got another engine choice. So we can have that 1800, we can have that 2 litre. We're now joined by a 2300 diesel. So your only choice at this time if you wanted the diesel model. Let's look at how it describes this. Still not a badly equipped car though. I think the main thing is Vauxhall were very good at spec leveling their wheel trims, in that the base model wheel trims of all the models looked absolutely terrible. But of course you can soon swap those out later. Let's have a look how it's described. So it starts by telling us the Carlton L epitomises GM's high technology coupled to outstanding value. The impressive style is the result of extensive aerodynamic research to ensure that the Carlton performs quietly and with excellent fuel economy. Much of the Carlton's overall style was inspired by experience with GM's Tech 1 experimental car. Then the design was super refined by casting a keen eye over the sorts of bodywork details many designers ignore. Close attention to front and rear pillars, roof edges and door mirror shape in particular paid off in lowering drag, minimising wind roar and even keeping the side windows cleaner. You'll just always notice with Vauxhalls when you move down the range, a lot more waffle, less talking about what the car has, because the car obviously has less equipment than the models we've looked at so far, but it wasn't badly equipped really for the time. It tells us we've got full luxury and the style that is unmistakably Carlton is carried through inside. Homespun cloth trim heightens the Carlton's air of spacious luxury, together with refinements such as a courtesy light delay cutoff and an instrument panel light dimmer. There's also the Philips AC441 mono radio stereo cassette player with digital frequency display, adding to what is an exceptionally well equipped car. Superb seating, it tells us. The fully reclining front seats have cloth trimmed head restraints, the driver's seat is height adjustable, and both front doors have continental style armrests. On the saloon there's a rear seat centre armrest, and Carlton L estates have a 50-50 split rear seat. Full instrumentation includes a rev counter, voltmeter and oil pressure gauge on petrol engine models. On diesel models, a quartz activated clock matches the large speedometer. Among the extra cost options, there's the ABS, anti-lock brake system, available for petrol engine models. Diesel power. The 2300 diesel is a refined unit with much of the smoothness and power attributable to sophisticated design of the cylinder head, camshaft and exhaust system. The 2300D develops an easy 71 PS with a maximum torque of 99.6 pound-foot, developed at a relaxing 2400 RPM. Don't know too much about the diesel. I know Ford's diesels weren't the most refined units. They were kind of like old French units that, the French cars have gone put better units in. I don't know about the Vauxhalls. I don't know much about the diesel Vauxhalls. Where that diesel came from, I'm not sure. I don't remember seeing too many of them around, although certainly as a taxi I can see them using that 2300 diesel. Anyway, moving down. Standard features for your L: homespun cloth trim, height adjustable driver's seat, cloth door trim panels, full instrumentation including rev counter, voltmeter and oil pressure gauge for the petrol engines. Nice to see we still got a rev counter there. Headlamp and warning buzzer, AC441 mono radio stereo cassette player with 4 speakers, courtesy light delay off, rear passenger compartment heating, power steering, 5-speed overdrive gearbox, petrol engines, bronze tinted glass all round, laminated windscreen with graduated tint shade band, remote control door mirrors, electric boot release, saloon, tailgate wash wipe, estate, 50-50 split rear seat for the estate. So really you could argue that the L was really all you actually needed in a large car in the mid-80s. Not badly equipped, I think, the L. And like I say, you do have the choice of getting the diesel if that's what you wanted. So again, seat material is obviously moving down a grade, although this one is in white gold and I do like the lighter coloured interior, I must admit. I do like Vauxhall's white gold. It's very much a colour of its time, isn't it? Early to mid 80s it was a very popular colour, so I do like seeing it on this Carlton. It does kind of like bring me back. Like I said, wheel trims are terrible on the L model, but overall we get everything that we actually need, really, don't we? We're even throwing rubbing strips down the side, so it doesn't actually look like a base model, so nice to see that. Ford, of course, wouldn't approve of that on their base model. They would have really stripped it out and made it a real keen price to sell it. So that is your range of Carltons, and like I say, when you compare it to the Granada, an L, a GL and a CD isn't a very big range, is it? Although, like I said before, we do also have the Senators, but we also have in the Carlton range the Estates, as we noticed as we were going through there. So we can have an 1800 L or GL, and we can also have a 2 litre L or GL Estate, and we can also have that 2300 diesel L as well, if that's what we really wanted. We'll finish by reading the text for the Estates, casting our eye over the images, and then we'll have a bit of a conclusion. The 5-door Carlton Estate is not only smart, comfortable and luxurious, it is also a versatile rugged workhorse with an enormous capacity. The luggage area impressive with its sheer size. Even with the rear seat up, it measures 52.2 inches wide by 45.2 inches deep. The rear seat is divided 50-50, so with either or both sections folded, it's possible to carry an extra long loads of up to 77.2 inches. If volume is the criterion, here too the Carlton Estate scores with up to 57.8 cubic foot of usable load space, I should say. Some manufacturers favour quoting the more impressive gross figure for volume. So for the record, the Carlton is 76.6 cubic feet, and with payload limit of at least 12.7 hundredweight. Heavy loads are no burden. You'll appreciate some of the other features too, such as power steering, bronze tinted glass with graduated tint screen shade band, tailgate wash wipe and body side protection mouldings. At the wheel, the height adjustable driver's seat and stepless reclining seat backrest lets you achieve the most comfortable driving position. Other nice touches include heated ducts for the rear passengers and a warning buzzer that sounds if you accidentally leave your headlamps on when getting out of the car. As part of the GL's ultra comprehensive specification, this model is equipped with manual rear suspension levelling, optional at extra cost on the L Estate. Easily operated by a garage airline, it maintains the car's correct attitude and poise when towing or carrying abnormally heavy loads. A retractable load compartment cover is another GL feature, particularly useful for keeping valuable loads out of sight. For all models, there's a factory fitted roof rack option, or available as an option. So the model we're going to actually look at though is the Carlton GL Estate in an unusual colour, parchment. Automatic transmission is optional extra cost. Incidental illustrations show split rear seat configuration and the GL's useful retractable load cover. So we are going to be looking at the top model. Sadly, there's no CD. Can you imagine that CD model with the 2200 injection engine? That would have been a great car. But sadly, no. Our images are of the Carlton GL in not one of my favourite colours, I must admit, more like a beige. So there is the GL model, and then it is rather nicely going to show us that sort of parcel shelf that comes over for the GL model. So a brown interior if you pick parchment, and we can see those split folding seats, and then the car itself being loaded up with flowers There's no doubt though that these cars look vast in the 80s. I'm sure if you still had one today it probably looked tiny against all the SUVs, but they did look big at the time, and certainly a very useful vehicle. I would argue that it's a far more useful and practical vehicle than an SUV, to be honest with you. It's rather sad the estates died out. Or wagons, of course, if that is your preferred term. So yeah, we look like we're doing a bit of gardening today. Some flowers and I don't know what that random piece of wood in there is. Possibly a gate, I'm not sure. So we're doing a bit of gardening today. We'll notice fog lamps at the bottom here tacked on as a bit of an afterthought, which early 80s was quite a common sight in the UK. Anyway, that kind of like wraps up the episode. So we should come to some sort of conclusion. Do we remember the Carltons? Did you own one? Certainly jot it in the comments. Always love all of your comments and thoughts, good, bad or indifferent. Please throw them in there. I'll read every single one. Next week, of course, we're going up still further, of course, to more the executive class with the lovely senators. So that's one to look out for. So overall, thank you so much for watching today. Like I say, hopefully the quality is increasing again to more similar to what we had before we moved. But thank you so much for sticking with us. Thank you so much for watching. We'll end as we always do by saying, please do consider subscribing. It is all completely free. We might as well end on that lovely image of the Carlton CD. Certainly my pick of the range at this time, although in reality you could have gone to lower spec models. Even the L would have been quite happy at the time. But yeah, please do consider subscribing if you've not done already. Completely free, keeps you in touch with the channel. We'll put a couple of boxes probably over this picture a little bit of the rest of the series that we've been to so far. Apologies again for the Manta, it wasn't the best quality. We had a lot going on, but hopefully we're back there again with the Carlton. Please stick with us, we'll see you very soon. All the best, take care and goodbye.